Tonight on CFTK-TV News, President Trump moves to double tariffs, the Elbows Up movement gains steam, and BC liquor sales drop to their lowest in recent years.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. We begin with the trade war tonight as the back and forth changes continue to develop quickly. The latest being Donald Trump and Doug Ford have now both reportedly scaled their tariff threats, with Ford choosing to pause the 25% tariff on electricity that pushed Trump to say he's slapping 50% surcharges on steel and aluminum. Now it seems both leaders are scaling back for now.
As you know, there's a very strong man in Canada who said he was going to charge a surcharge or a tariff on electricity coming into our country. He has called and he said he's not going to do that. Okay, he's not going to do that. And it would have been a very bad thing if he did, and he's not going to do that, so I respect that.
This comes after a major development earlier in the day as U.S. President Donald Trump moved to double incoming tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum.
The U.S. President posted a message on Truth Social that reads in part, based on Ontario, Canada placing a 25% tariff on electricity coming into the United States, I've instructed my Secretary of Commerce to add an additional 25% tariff to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States from Canada, one of the highest tariffing nations anywhere in the world. This will go into effect tomorrow morning, March 12th. I will shortly be declaring a national emergency on electricity within the threatened area. This will allow us to quickly do what has to be done to alleviate this abusive threat from Canada.
That abusive threat Trump references is the energy cutoff threatened by the Ontario government. Here's a look at what happened yesterday, the moves that brought on today's changes.
The rout began at the opening bell as U.S. stocks plunged by nearly 900 points after President Donald Trump refused to rule out a recession brought on by his economic policies.
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big.
Trump's trade war against China, Mexico, and Canada have triggered retaliation. Ontario is targeting the American power grid.
If the United States escalates, I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely.
For now, the province will add a 25% surcharge on electricity it sells to New York, Michigan, and Minnesota. The charges will impact 1.5 million U.S. homes and businesses and generate up to $400,000 a day, money Ontario will use to support its workers. Ontario is the first province to use energy to fight back. Quebec, Manitoba, and BC are also considering hydro surcharges.
We don't want to be caught without a tool to be able to cut off electricity or increase charges on electricity to the Americans.
Ford is also urging Alberta to put an export tax on the oil it sends south of the border.
When the Americans, and I know the Americans, all of a sudden their gas prices go up 90 to $1 a gallon, they will lose their minds.
On X, Alberta's premier called it an absurd and self-destructive idea and linked to this interview on CTV's Power Play.
There's no circumstance under which I would agree to another tax on Alberta that takes $40 billion out of Alberta. You can ask me as much as you like. The answer is no.
Trump is expected to make the next move in this trade war. On Wednesday, the president is expected to put 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum, jeopardizing an industry worth $40 billion a year in Canada.
While the northern region of British Columbia recorded higher rates of alcohol sales compared to others, the province had a lower rate in over 2 decades. Damien Smith from CFTK-TV has more.
Released today from the BC Rural Health Network, the province is reporting a 9% drop in alcohol sales from the 2023 to 2024 period. Now, in the past year, British Columbia has seen a 9% drop in alcohol sales since last year, which is the largest fall since the 2001 to 2002 time span. In particular, in the Northwest, Stikine was the local health area in Northern Health with the highest rate in alcohol sales in 2023 to 24 at over 1,150 standard drinks per person of ages 15 and over. And in terms of health service delivery area, the Northwest region placed second behind East Kootenay with a total of 731. And compared to the entire province, the North places second behind the Central Interior at 603. And a potential factor for the overall drop is the significant population increase that BC has seen over the past few years, especially when pairing that with moderate alcohol sales. With immigrants arriving from countries that typically consume less alcohol, that has also been a big influence in the drop. The BCRHN has said that despite the good headline, British Columbians still consume an average of 9 drinks per week, which is at about 50% more than what is suggested by Canada's guidance on alcohol and health. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith.
Coming up next, a Cybertruck owner's regrets. Thanks for staying with us. Varying political ideologies have politicians finding themselves divided and has left some pursuing the independent route.
No longer members of the BC Conservatives, these 3 MLAs took aim at their former leader, John Rustad.
He caved to the woke Liberals that have now infiltrated his party.
John Rustad harbored a lynch mob.
The trio left the party on Friday, Keeley and Davidson in support of Dallas Brody, after Brody was effectively kicked out of caucus over comments she made in this video podcast.
This whole thing about my truth and your truth, oh, my truth. This stuff has to stop. It's like, it's got to be the truth.
Rustad characterizing the remarks as mocking residential school survivors.
The world now wants to say that there can be multiple truths, multiple different truths on an issue, but there really is only one objective truth at the end of the day.
Our party actually is very strong from my perspective. It is still growing. And yes, we've had a few growing pains, but that's not to be unexpected.
The 3 MLAs, now independents, say they plan to explore launching a new party and claim other BC Conservatives may join them.
Some whispers, yes, but I can't say names right now.
Current Conservatives say they're happy where they are, some seemingly more adamant than others.
Very happy, yes, unequivocal, yeah.
I think there's still a chance that we can get this right. I think there's enough people there that have a good conservative belief that we can move forward.
The fracture was inevitable, say some pundits, pointing to Rustad's big tent plan with free votes and free speech.
There was such a wide range of ideological opinion in this party that it wasn't coherent or tenable.
The Premier, not surprisingly, keen to see more fracture among his opposition.
He has some more work to do around members of his caucus that are expressing openly anti-Canadian perspectives, pro-Trump perspectives.
The 3 MLAs moved seats in the House, but none attended question period Monday, on their first day as independents.
Shoppers at Canada's largest grocer will soon be able to tell if the product they're buying has a tariff on it. CTV's Kathy Lee has more.
Grocery shopping trips have turned into missions. Many Canadians determined more than ever to find something local.
I'll always do Canadian if I can. If you can't find the product, that's different. Other than that, no, 100%.
Shoppers at all Loblaw stores will soon find a clue in their hunt. The company says a symbol with a T will mark products that have a tariff on it.
Due to Trump's tariffs, the Canadian government slapped retaliatory ones on roughly $30 billion worth of goods, and some of the cost will be passed on to consumers.
In a LinkedIn post, the company's CEO and president says the T symbols will help customers make informed choices. And since it still has U.S. inventory in its distribution centers pre-tariffs, the price won't increase immediately.
Loblaws has been in the news a lot over the last couple of years, accused of profiteering and taking advantage of these cost of living changes. So I don't see this as anything more than just indicating When you see the price go up, you know who to blame, and it's not us.
I think it's good. I think that that's wise. I think that it allows Canadians to understand what they're buying and to have options to be able to purchase something else.
Loblaw says it's working to expand non-U.S. options. As for Canadian options, one expert says the patriotic desire to support domestic products may not last.
Now that we're choosing to register our protest with the Americans by buying Canadian, it means that we've now chosen to take on a higher priced, lower quality product. And that can only last a couple of credit card cycles before you realize, I can't afford this.
It's not going to be sustainable in the long term. In the short term, it's just the best we can do right now.
For now, a dedicated effort, some say, to support the country during uncertain times. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
The Cybertruck has attracted much scrutiny since its release, but in the wake of the recent political landscape, one Cybertruck owner has found himself victimized. Here's CTV's Keenan Sorokin.
Josh McGowan has been driving his Cybertruck since November, when it's not driving itself, that is. But lately, it's been more stressful than pleasant.
I could see somebody took a knife, a switchblade type knife, and scratched up the whole side of the car.
Thanks to the many cameras on his Cybertruck, McGowan was able to see a passerby carve up the side of his vehicle. He says ever since Tesla founder Elon Musk's close ties with U.S. President Donald Trump, he's feared something like this could happen.
I'm driving the same brand of vehicle that I've been driving for the last 3 years, but it definitely feels weird driving around like people are making judgments.
McGowan waited 3 years for his truck to arrive and got it for marketing. Growing up, he remembers the Jerry's Food Emporium yellow Hummer driving around town, and McGowan always dreamt of something similar.
Tesla owners are just people. If you're trying to yell at them or wreck their vehicle, you're really not hurting your target.
Advocacy group Sask EV says some Tesla owners are finding themselves at the center of anti-Musk sentiment.
All of us who bought electric cars, it's amazing all the different reasons you buy them, but they're all good. You know, it's tragic that people get so upset about it.
McGowan posted video of his truck being vandalized and says the guy called him and came clean the next day after video was shared online. He said he would turn himself in to police. Had he known a vehicle that was once applauded for its environmental sustainability would become a political lightning rod, McGowan never would have bought his Cybertruck. Keenan Sorokin, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Turning to the weather now, if the sky is clear where you are this evening, you might catch a big moon. The waxing gibbous moon is at 93% illumination, with the full moon being just 3 days away. The sun rose at 7:59 a.m. this morning and sets at 7:30 p.m. tonight. Tonight on the north coast, conditions are looking mostly cloudy with a wind chill of -5 overnight and a low of -1, winds up to 15 kilometers an hour. Over the next few days on the north coast, expect sunshine and 5 degrees on Wednesday, the temperature remaining steady Thursday and Friday, with the clouds coming in and flurries starting Friday, overnight lows sitting around freezing. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, partly cloudy with a 40% chance of showers early in the evening, winds up to 15 kilometers an hour with a low of -3, a wind chill of -5 overnight. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of flurries or rain showers on Thursday, then periods of snow and 2 degrees on Friday. Overnight temperatures in the -2, -3 range. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect it to be partly cloudy with winds up to 15 kilometers an hour and a low of -9 degrees, wind chill -13 overnight. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, temperatures will sit around freezing and some flurries are expected. Overnight lows will be in the -6 to -8 degree range. Checking your Northwest highways now. On Highway 16, there's slush and slippery sections heading east from Prince Rupert. Utility work between Rainbow Avalanche Gates and Rainbow Chain Up. Construction work between Chimdamash and West Binwall. Road maintenance east of Smithers. Highway 37, there's slippery sections and water pooling. On Highway 37A, there's slippery sections and bridge maintenance between Surprise Bridge and Meziadin Maintenance Yard. On the Nishka Highway and Telegraph Creek Road, watch for slippery sections. Still to come, elbows up is no longer just a hockey term. A Toronto bar shooting Friday left many injured and the patrons and neighborhood shocked. Here's CTV's Allison Hurst with the details.
The police tape is down, but inside Piper Arms, clear signs of a violent attack.
It's like out of a movie. It's like gangland, gang style.
Bullet holes pierced through a back door, a TV above the bar, and an interior window.
It's very disheartening that we have individuals out in our community who are willing to take these types of action.
Police say 3 masked men barged in around 10:40 Friday night carrying an assault rifle and handguns and began shooting indiscriminately.
It's very concerning that, you can be anywhere and, in this case, enjoying a dinner or a drink.
7 people were struck by bullets in the arms and legs, and 5 others were injured by flying glass. Miraculously, no one died or suffered life-threatening injuries.
Well, I used to go to the old Scott House that it used to be, and ever since then it's been all kinds of different places.
Friday night was the Piper Arms grand opening next to Scarborough Town Centre.
There were a lot of delays with the opening, so I'm curious as to if this was planned.
The motive remains unconfirmed, but the shooting follows a week of gun violence linked to the towing industry. Police would not confirm a connection, but say they're looking into it.
Very scary. It's a place we plan to visit and most likely won't after this, so it's sad to hear it in our neighborhood.
Investigators have warned there will be an increased police presence in the area while they look for the suspects. Allison Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
The Elbows Up movement has gained steam across the country. Here's CTV's John Venevali-Rao with more.
It's becoming hard to miss on social media a surge of videos urging Canadians to get those elbows up and take a symbolic stance against Donald Trump's threats. Folks spreading a message that's even become a political rallying cry.
But fight when we must, elbows up.
Because we will never kiss the gangster's ring.
My thanks to... In its current context, the slogan was first used by Canadian Mike Myers, who just over a week ago on SNL wore a Canada is not for sale t-shirt and mouthed elbows up during the credits, something he did again this past weekend. In Ottawa on Sunday, hundreds gathered for an elbows up rally. And protesters shouted it at an event last week outside the U.S. consulate.
Absolutely, 100%. Elbows up.
Pass to Howard. Shot. As for what it means, it goes back to Canadian hockey legend Gordie Howe, known not only as Mr. Hockey, but also Mr. Elbows, a player who took no guff from his opponents.
If he saw somebody skating towards him to deliver a body check, all of a sudden the elbows came up and the hitter became the hittee and thought twice about going after number 9, Gordie Howe, from that point forward.
And now, elbows up, shorthand for standing our ground against U.S. tariffs. There are hats and shirts for sale with the slogan, and Nova Scotia's Peace by Chocolate has a chocolate bar that's a bestseller.
We are very surprised at the reception.
Canadians flexing our national pride and showing we're not about to back down. John Venevali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning to the stock markets now. The Canadian dollar dropped slightly. Gold rose $22.70. Oil rose by 66 cents. Natural gas dropped 4 cents, and aluminum was up $22.50. The TSX dropped by 132.5 points. The Venture Index was up 7. The Nasdaq dropped 32 points, and the Dow Jones dropped 478. Still ahead, the struggles of Hudson's Bay Company continue. Police in Burnaby say a trail of fluid left from an alleged hit-and-run led officers to a driver, who has since been arrested. Mounties say the crash happened on February 10th when officers responded to an incident near McKee Street and McGregor Avenue. Police say someone saw a car hit 2 parked vehicles before fleeing, and investigators found a fender left at the scene bearing the words Model X, or a type of Tesla. Officers were then able to trace a trail of fluid from the scene to a residential property where the driver was arrested. Video from the Tesla has been seized as potential evidence. And Kicking Horse Mountain Resort in Golden has closed off after a gondola fell off its line around 9:20 this morning. An online notice by the resort says ski patrol and first responders were quickly dispatched to get passengers off the Golden Eagle Express gondola. It says a full inspection is underway to figure out what happened, adding the gondola manufacturer has been called in to help with the investigation. Photos online show the cabin on its side near the base of a lift, suggesting it may have fallen a few meters. And finally, Canada's oldest corporation has veered closer and closer to obsolete in recent years. Here's CTV's Andrew Johnson on the latest from Hudson's Bay.
The Bay is the place for a very special gift at Christmas. Fragrances, just look at the selection.
There was a time when the Bay was a big deal. Experts say those days are long gone.
Physical retail's not dead. This particular format is archaic, and you're seeing it die.
Hudson's Bay is blaming industry-wide pressures for a dire financial situation that led it to file for creditor protection. The company points to post-pandemic shifts leading to less store traffic, strained Canadian household budgets, and the uncertainty with the U.S. But analysts believe the Bay's decline has its roots in the 1990s.
Like a sick person that is older and they're not doing well, it might have been the neglect of their body that built up over decades where they weren't eating right and drinking too much. And
customers have changed their behavior. They don't go shopping in large department stores anymore, full stop.
Those who are still shopping at the Bay have dealt with sudden store closures and ongoing maintenance issues.
I think it's too bad to see a place so iconic that's disappearing.
Something else might also disappear, your Hudson's Bay rewards points. Court documents show the loyalty program has been frozen during restructuring. Gift cards are still being honored, but experts warn that may not last.
If you have gift cards, you're at risk. We saw when Nordstrom left that they gave a heads up and I think a very quick window. I can't remember now, but I feel like it was days.
Experts predict half of the chain's 80 Canadian stores could be closed. That would affect thousands of jobs, as a Canadian icon now struggles to survive.
So what are you waiting for? Come on, Canada, meet you at the Bay.
Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
That's our Northwest News for now. For more local news, check out cftktv.com. You can also find us on YouTube, Blue Sky, TikTok, and X. Thanks for watching and have a great evening.